I'm the river, I'm the rain, the lonesome whistle of a train. I'm the amber waves of grain. I'm the highway, I'm the farm, fertile fields and boulevards, the hand that rests over your heart. Oh, I'm the echo of the bell that's ringing. Oh, I'm the freedom in the song we're singing. I'm the seed that's in the dust. I'm the prayer in God we trust. A place to dream for all of us. I'm America. Dance, the open window to a chance, the place where courage takes a stance. All the colors that you see, the lights from 30,000 feet. Yeah, I'm the roar of victory. Oh, I'm the echo of the bell that's ringing. Oh, I'm the freedom in the song we're singing. I'm the seed that's in the dust. I'm the prayer in God we trust. A place to dream for all of us. I'm America. I'm America. I'm the fathers, I'm the sons. I'm the footprints in the mud. I'm a shelter washed in blood. Oh, 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 I'm the seed that's in the dust. I'm the prayer in God we trust. A place to dream for all of us. I'm America. I'm America. I'm America. I'm America.
Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Welcome, everybody, to a Sunday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Mr. Joel, how are you, sir?
Hey, I am doing great. It's always good when your football team wins. So we get a nice week of rest, and then we gotta go at it again.
I hear you there, man. I watched some football today, but I had church this morning, and then I watched a little bit of a football game earlier. Then I come down here to the bunker to get things ready to go for tonight's show, because we got a special guest coming in, Dr. David Blake. He's a Air Force veteran, and now he is the founder of Building Forward Now Inc. So I'm super excited to have him on to talk about his military time and then what he's doing now. So I'm super excited about that. And I want to thank you for coming on here and co-hosting. Unfortunately, Miss Candace is having some medical issues, and she was not able to join us tonight. So prayers for her, and she'll be back hopefully tomorrow. So yeah, thank you for jumping on, Joe.
Hey, no problem. I'm just not as pretty though. That's the only thing. I'm just not as pretty. But hey, I want to say this. Adam's group, the hero group, you guys have been doing amazing things for years. And I just want to say I think it's incredible how the our movement, the streaming and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible where it was, where it's came from, and I see a lot more veterans getting help and getting the resources that they need. So I want to thank you for doing a show like this to even help even more. So I appreciate you for that.
Well, thank you for that. Now, so yeah, we are, Heroes Media Group, Reach Across America Radio, Veterans Voice Radio, and Military United podcast streams. And there's a whole plethora of podcasters out there that are doing amazing things. Now, you guys with MBR Radio, you guys are doing amazing too. So why don't you tell people who you are, what your show is, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I don't really have a show. We've got about 30 veteran shows, and all of them talk about veteran advocacy. They do battle buddy stories. They talk to veteran artists. We have our own Roku channel, and you can go on that Roku channel. You can watch the live broadcast 24/7. And then we have it, labeled all the different shows, but we have many flavors. And, if there's a veteran out there that is interested in doing a show, like yours, reach out to MBR, because, that is our thing. Is we're a teaching platform. We don't consider ourselves a radio station. We consider us a platform that, teaches veterans how to host, how to do, their show and stuff. Because if we can get the veteran talking with us, we can get him to stop thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. The more you talk about your experience, the less you think about your experience.
Right.
It doesn't get rid of it, but it helps minimize the demons from creeping in. So yeah,
right. And it really helps when you have like some supportive veterans or supportive friends that they won't sit there and say talk about the past, or giving you a hard time. They're there to, okay, come on, let's do this. They motivate you to go forward. That's the key thing. And what we've done at MBR kind of create like a veteran family. I'm pretty proud of them. I've got we're rarely blessed to have some good shows on our station. But the main reason why I wanted to come on here, and you asked me to talk a little bit about myself and what we do. I love teaching. I do. I really love teaching. I love showing veterans how to do different things, like on their overlays, websites, anything like that, and every veteran is able to set up a calendar appointment. They don't have to be a part of MBR. I can sit there and give them some teaching and navigation on different skills, because let's face it, Willis, when it comes to drywall, you can do it by yourself, but it's a lot easier with two people.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so speaking of that, Cav Arts, which is part of Challenge America, we're actually getting ready to start a podcast platform on there to help teach veterans how to do podcasting, how to do overlays, which microphones are the best, which cameras are the best. So I'm gonna be reaching out to you guys, Joel, and I'm gonna bring you alongside because it's something that I'm gonna be spearheading with. So it's Challenge America, but it's Cav Arts. It's Challenge America Veterans and Arts is the name of it, and it's a platform like Facebook, but it's strictly for veterans. You got Guitars for Vets that has their cyber chapter on there. There's Tandy Leather if you want to learn how to do leather work. You want to learn how to bake. There's a spot on there for you as for that as well. But there wasn't a platform for podcasting or media.
Did you know, Willis, there's a nonprofit that does beekeeping
Oh yeah,
for veterans? I
oh
just
yeah,
found that out this year. I think that's amazing.
yeah. Teaching veterans how to do beekeeping, then collecting the honey because it's a source of revenue for some veterans. I mean, there's 501c3s for you name it, skydiving, race car driving, hiking, kayaking, you name it. There is a 501c3 for it out there. With Homefront Sitrep, that's what we mainly focus on is 501c3s from around the country. Whether it's outdoor therapy, was it equine therapy, adrenaline therapy, whatever. That's what we highlight. But we also bring in veteran business owners. We also bring in veteran singers, veteran authors, pretty much anything veteran related.
Right.
But our primary focus is and always will be veteran service organizations from around the country. And we're talking, the grassroots ones, the mom and pop ones that are focused on the veterans.
And not so much the checkbook. I know exactly what you mean. Less than $85,000 in admin costs. I did a show a long time ago. You might have heard of it, but I did a show a long time ago, and that's what I've been doing. Is we highlight all the nonprofits out there beyond the VA.
Yeah, yeah. And we look for the ones that like to work with other veteran service organizations, not the ones that won't work, but the ones that will, and they encourage their veterans to check out other organizations because I might go to an organization that does crocheting or something of that nature. Well, that's not going to work for me. So they might say, all right, well, you need to go check out this equine therapy or this fishing, outdoor therapy because it might be better suited for your needs. And that's what we need as veterans. We don't need to be stuck in an organization that can't help us. We need that organization. If they can't help us, we need to find an organization, or they need to find an organization that can. They need to be willing to work with other organizations. So, but yeah, man, thanks for coming on here. Let's bring up Dr. David Blake.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Dr. David Blake. How are you, sir?
Well, Dave will work even better. And good evening. And I enjoyed hearing the introduction. I love the music. I have it written down so I could play it for my wife later. My football team won today as well, so I'm in a pretty good mood.
Nice.
I love it. So, and I've been really looking forward to this. My work is with veterans. I wish my house looked this nice behind me.
Yeah, you didn't have to throw yourself under the bus.
Yeah. No,
I've for a while.
No, man, I'm a retired enlisted guy. I don't have a piano, let me tell you. So I am thrilled to be here and look forward to sharing a little bit about what I do and talking to my fellow veterans.
Well, we thank you for coming on here and hanging out with us. Now, if you can do me a favor, do a little background introduction. You go back as far as you want to go back.
Yeah.
Just do a little background introduction if you don't mind.
Well, I've been retired 22 years from the Air Force. I spent 20 years and 1 day on active duty. I am who I am today because of that. I'd like to say there was pre-Air Force Dave and post-Air Force Dave, and I like post-Air Force Dave better. And people say, "Oh, where'd you learn that?" I tell everybody, I learned it in the Air Force, and so this is where, I sort of fundamentally became the person I am and learned what's important to me. Is guided my journey in the corporate world. It is fundamentally who I am. And I retired, like I said, in '99. I thought I would just have a nice, quiet job in the corporate world, doing a little training and development. I thought I'd sit in a cubicle and people would leave me alone. I retired as a master sergeant. I was a first sergeant in the Air Force. If you know anything about the Air Force community, first sergeants are a position as well as a rank. It could be an E7, 8, or 9, but we're responsible for the health and welfare of the enlisted population. That's what we do. We live to take care of our enlisted members and their families in all circumstances. Probably the most demanding yet rewarding thing I've ever done. And when I retired, I wanted something quiet. Well, you know how it is for veterans. A lot of times people see something in you that maybe you don't necessarily see in yourself. I worked my way up and started off as worked in a biomedical area, pharmaceutical and medical device manufacturing. Started off as just a training associate, right? Doing development training. Like Joe, I love to educate every chance I can. I'll educate where I can do it. And from there, went on and long story short, ended up retiring as the chief operations officer, COO, and CHRO, chief HR officer for a private independent law school. But I have worked in the higher ed community. I've worked in the manufacturing community. I do a lot of work with nonprofits, serve on several nonprofit boards. And in 2018, I founded this little company called Building Forward Now. No money, no nothing, no website. I just had an idea. And the idea was I wanted to give back. I'm not trying to get rich, as I tell anybody. I probably give more of it away than I ever charge. But the idea was I was going to focus on certain groups I felt could use what I had learned over the 40 years of life. One of those and foremost is veterans. Whether they're entrepreneurial veterans trying to get a leg up. You know, it's always easier to find somebody who's gone before you so you don't have to be as painful. Someone could say, hey, look, here's how you might want to think about it. I know in 2018, I had no idea how to start a business. I did it with a book and a YouTube video. It was probably okay, but a lot of mistakes along the way. But fortunately, the IRS didn't kill me at the end of the day. And so I began this journey, and by January of this year, I kind of felt like I was ready to stop that traditional work and really begin to focus on those people that I wanted to focus on. So I work a lot with nonprofits. I think that's really some really wonderful work. I sit on the board of Habitat for Humanity here in California. I do some, obviously, work with veterans. I teach. I predominantly, almost all my students are veterans because this is a large veteran community. I'm outside of San Diego. My classes normally are almost all veterans, Army, Navy, Marine. Every now and then I get an odd Air Force guy in there, but there's not a lot of us out here in sunny Southern California. But that's kind of my life journey in a home. And married, great wife, put up with me through all those enlisted years, 4 kids, 5 grandchildren, 3 dogs, and that's me.
I love it. I love it. So you 41 years you said married?
Yeah, I've been married 45 now.
Oh, 45 now.
45, yeah.
I
know.
Probably need to update your bio.
Yeah, I know. It's I know it's over, Willis, I know it's over 40, so I know that for a fact.
So what's the secret? What's the secret?
Go out to dinner every Friday night. And, I jokingly tell people that. That's what my mother told me when I got married. My mother said, I got one piece of advice for you. I'm like, okay, great. Here it is. My parents are still alive. My dad's 95. My mom's 91. And they've been married over 60 years.
Holy cow.
I know. Amazing. And they live independently, which is a little scary. But at the end of the day, my mom says, go out to dinner every Friday night. So every Friday night, all things being, we're healthy and happy and we can do it. We hop in the car and we go to this little Mexican restaurant here in town. We've been doing that. And no matter where we've lived, I've lived all over the world. We'd go out to dinner on Friday night. And I think the other thing is just have fun. Don't take yourself overly seriously. And I think those are the two things. Hey, Friday night, it's a great time to go out and have dinner. Yeah,
definitely. So the wife and I, we've been together 19 years married. Coming up this November 18th, be 19 years married, but we've been together for 20 plus.
Yeah.
And one of our things, especially during football season, we go out to the high school football team, the local team, and watch the game. And then we go out to dinner afterwards. And then when it's not football season, we go out on Friday nights, and that's our date night.
Yeah.
It's usually me and her and another couple, and we go hang out and go to the Mexican restaurant down in Shepherdsville, which is about 15 minutes from here, and we just we hang out.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that as well. Now, granted, we're like most married couples where we have our ups and downs, but if you don't have that in a relationship and you can't work through them, then we work through ours and it makes us stronger. Of course, our kids, I've got one that's getting ready to be 18. She's a senior in high school. Then I have my junior who is just turned 16. So they're both gonna be flying the coop in a couple of years.
Oh, they come back to visit. Trust me.
Yeah,
they come back to visit. I have a great web. The guy did all my website work for me, and it's my son. And we have an agreement. I feed him, and so and he's got 3 kids and a wife. So trust me, it's probably cheaper to have been hired a web designer than pay my son. But his background is in web design, so I take advantage of it. So when you go check out my website, you'll see it.
Yeah, I put your website out there just a second ago, so I'm gonna throw
great. Thank you.
buildingforwardnow.com, and you can go check that out. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Sam Deeds, a retired gunnery sergeant. I served with him. We went to boot camp together, we went to School of Infantry together and served together in 2-8. Him and his wife are on their 20th wedding anniversary. They're in Hawaii at the present moment. So awesome. I'm going to give him a shout out. So you started your company in 2018, dedicated to advancing careers of HR professionals and leaders. So do people reach out to you to come into, like, say, a corporation? Do they reach out to you, or do you cold call corporations and say, hey, this is what I do?
Now, a little bit of both, but here's what I prefer. So one of the great things about being semi-retired is you get to pick your clients. When you go to work every day, and I was an HR person for, even in my enlisted career, I felt like I was an HR person. Many of you can relate. You take what you get, the good, the bad, the different, and you manage it. That's fine. It's neat when you get to a certain point in your career to say, there's certain people I really want to work with, and there's certain people I really want to help. And so I recently started really focusing on helping veterans, specifically leaders. That's kind of where you see the leader part. And a lot of HR guys are veterans, by the way. It seems to be a natural, sometimes I think, connection. But really get to better understand who they are as a leader and what it is they want to do. So I work with a lot of folks who reach out to me and say, hey, I heard you speak one time. I saw your presentation. I've heard of you, and I'm really stuck in my career and I don't know where to go. And, it's much easier to advance in your current career than to try to find a new job. A lot of times people say, the unemployment market's pretty small. And so there's not a lot of people right now or a lot of jobs that are open. So your best bet is to, develop yourself and figure out what it is you want to do. Or the other one I get is, hey, I'd like to start off doing something like you're doing. How the heck did you ever do it? And I mean, it deals a lot with just the conceptualizing of a plan. What is it you're going to be? What's most important to you? I go back to, to a little bit about what Joe said. Don't do it for the money because you'll be disappointed. Find something you're passionate about. If it's beekeeping, if it's leather work, do it. I'm passionate about helping people find the true power of their voice. And I think when I got out, I was trying to find that voice, right? I had been used to a very set, regimented way of doing things. Even the Air Force has rules, right? Probably a little less casual, a little more casual than the other services, but still a transition nonetheless, and really trying to understand who it is I was and really what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to sit in a cubicle and hide out. Yeah, that would be the safe way to go. But again, and all you vets out there need to realize that people will see something in you that they don't see in others. So what I try to work with is helping people find out what that is. it makes the journey a lot sweeter when you kind of know what you're dealing with going in.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So, David, with the with your program that you have, let me ask you, what tools are you using? Like, are you using just a website? Are you using phone app? I mean, what are some of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
platforms that you're on?
Yeah, LinkedIn is pretty most common for me. Now I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I am also I have a weekly weekly newsletter people can sign up for called Pieces on Peace, which is basically exactly what it is. Short articles that I write about finding that element of peace in your life, that element of positivity in your life. I don't write articles that talk about here's how bad everything is. Let's figure out, hey, look, get enough of that every day. I focus my newsletter around Pieces on Peace, and I never thought it would be hard to write an article every week, but I've been writing them straight now for 2 straight weeks together. Thanks for that, for putting that up, by the way, too.
You're welcome.
Would love to have you join our list. You don't get, I don't spam anybody. You get every Monday morning when you get up bright and early, you're going to get a nice article from me that uplifts you and tells you something positive that you could do today to make a difference. Whether it's talking about your character, your leadership, your career, whatever it is you want. And but LinkedIn's been a really good source for me. And the reason I say that is that I do work a lot with people who are professionals. LinkedIn has something like 31 million people out there following it. The newsletter generates quite a bit as well, too. And then speaking, when someone says, and that happens by accident, it wasn't like I was looking to do it. Someone said, "Could you come talk to this group?" Happened to be a group of HR people, by the way, in San Diego. And I said, "Sure, I'd love to." Well, guess what? There was a lot of military people sitting in the room that just happened to say, "Hey, would you come over here and talk to this group?" So I always tell folks, I don't charge for speaking. That's one of the things I don't do. I do it because I enjoy it. You just need to pay to get me there and feed me and send me home. And beyond that, I'm good to go. But I love getting out there and sharing the story about what vets can do to really take charge of their life and make something positive of it. And that's why when Willis reached out to me, I thought, man, this is going to be great. This is perfectly the audience that I want to talk to. And I think it's really the audience that has such untapped potential, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just amazing. I see it every day.
Yeah, but with being so many different podcasts out there, to have a platform to speak about what you do and the things that you've learned as you've grown, through your military career and then your personal career after you got out of the military. I think there's a lot of veterans out there that get stuck in that rut. They're working a dead end job that maybe that they're okay with because it pays the bills and it covers. But they're always like, "Oh man, I can do more than this. I can do." And I think that's somewhere where like you would come in and be like, "All right, here's the tools that I can give you to help you find a better job and stuff of that nature." Now you wrote a book as well called "Leadership Like Driving a Train."
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So just a little side story. So I think everybody's got to have something they truly enjoy doing. I don't care if it's golf, shooting pool, playing cards, jogging, riding a bike. For me, it's driving a train. And so when I was a young kid, I lived in San Francisco, and we lived right outside by the rail yard. And every night my dad would take me down to the rail yard. I would sit on his lap. He had a 57 Ford Fairlane back in the day when you didn't need seat belts. And I would just sit on his lap and he would drive the car. You get in trouble for that nowadays. Yeah. But we go down to the train yard and I just watch the trains go in and out. And I was always fascinated by them. I had an uncle who had a huge model railroad, and it just always has really interested me. And so I have a pretty extensive collection of railroad antiques. And but my dream was to drive a steam train. And sure enough, moved back here to Southern California, and I was telling somebody about it. In fact, a fellow veteran, Coast Guard retired, and he says, "Oh, I'm the president of a nonprofit that runs a community train, an antique train, a 501c3, and we got a cable car, a steam locomotive, different pieces of equipment." I said, "Hey, look, man, I'm an HR guy," and he goes, "We could train anybody." And I said, "Oh, really?" And so, sure enough. I went over there. I'm a licensed steam engineer, so every other weekend I drive a 1906 Baldwin steam locomotive. Hey, look, nobody's ever unhappy riding a steam train. Not kids, moms, dads. It's just kind of one of those fun things. And so what I found is this big, clunky, greasy, complicated in many ways pieces of equipment was a lot like leadership. We want it to be clean, nice, and neat, right? Like an electric locomotive, but the reality is it's not. And so I took two passions, mirrored them together, and put out this short book called Leadership is Like Driving a Train. And if any of you have led, and I'm sure many of you here that I'm speaking with, Joe, Willis, and the crowd out there, you folks have done it. And if you ever seen a greasy old steam locomotive, you'll probably kind of relate to some of the challenges associated with dusting yourself off every day and going back at it.
Well, I'm going to have to get their information from you because I did not know there was a 501c3 dedicated to helping veterans learn how to drive trains.
Well, it's just basically, all of us just happen to be mostly veterans that work there, or I say work, we volunteer there. But it's a couple we have about 70 volunteers, a lot of Marines, a lot of Navy, and our former president, I'm actually the current president of the nonprofit. The former president of the nonprofit was a retired Coast Guard guy, and he was a boiler tech. And so guess what? He knew exactly how those boilers ran and operate. So
nice.
Yeah. Nice.
So what's the name of the nonprofit?
PowayMidlandRailroad.org. Check us out. We're on the web.
Nice. I'm definitely going to have to check that out and probably have you back on just to talk about that.
Yeah. And of course, if you're in Southern California, hook me up and I'll make sure you get free rides and come out.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, my buddy Brian Roof is out there around San Diego. He runs the Every Day's a Saturday USMC veteran podcast.
Awesome.
So I'm going to get you connected with him and maybe he can come out there as well and check it out. But man, that's super cool. And like I was saying, Joe, earlier, there's 501c3s for anything.
Yeah, there is.
So holy, that's super cool, man. So you get to drive a steam train every other weekend. Now, how far do you get to drive?
It's a small private loop, so it runs around a big city park in the city of Poway. I can't what the distance is. It's not much. It was actually owned. Little history here. There was a gentleman that bought a piece of property where the park currently sits today, and he just decided he was independently wealthy. He was a retired Marine Corps colonel, believe it or not. And so he decided he was going to buy him a little ranch, and he bought him an old train, decided he wanted to just play with a train on his property. And when he passed away, he gave the entire thing to the city of Poway.
Oh, man.
And said, do whatever you want with it. And it was just a mess. And that was probably 30 some odd years ago. Since then, we have a San Francisco cable car restored, a mine speeder, the locomotive. So part of it is not only operating, but learning to restore and bring back what was lost because, you don't see a lot of 1906 steam locomotives still running around a track. So
no, that's super cool.
Yeah.
So down in New Haven, Kentucky, which is where, so I grew up in Bardstown, Kentucky, in between Bardstown and New Haven, they actually have a railway museum there.
Yeah.
And they have the old, steam engines there, all kinds of super cool locomotives and stuff there as well. And I like old trains. It just, I don't know, it's something about a train, riding on a train compared to a car. Yeah. Or a bus or airplane. Trains just, I guess it's soothing in a sense.
I've never had anybody get mad at me. And my grandson actually thinks his granddad actually is a train engineer. So,
nice.
People say, what's your grand do? He said, my grandpa drives a train. So I beat all the other grandpas out there.
Yeah, that's super, super cool. That is super cool, man. So what else do you got going on in your life? So you're retired Air Force.
Yeah.
You retired from the HR world.
Yeah.
Now you run Building Forward Now. You're the president of a nonprofit, a grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
You wear many hats. What do you what do you like doing in your downtime that you enjoy doing?
Yeah, I think in my downtime, I love sports. So I mean, I'll be honest with you. Padres, go Pods. They're in the playoffs or getting close to the playoffs. I'm a big 49er fan, so I enjoy doing that. I mean, I really do. I love hanging out with my grandkids. It's a lot of fun. I'm actually in the process of restoring a 1955 or 1959 Cushman Eagle motorcycle.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
it's really it's a hoot to see it. It's in a bunch of pieces right now. It's got a new motor on it. And you know what? I'm not mechanical, but I go out there when I've kind of need to kind of just disconnect, and I'm able to troubleshoot it. And hey, man, there's a video out there even for 1959 Cushman Eagles. This is a brand that long since is gone. You probably heard of Cushman motor carts like you'd see at the airports. They drive those little scooters around. Those are Cushmans. Cushman actually made a line of motorcycles. And they look like mini versions of old Harleys. So that's what I've been tinkering around with lately in my spare time. Teaching a class coming up, so I'll be prepping for that tomorrow because I got to go teach tomorrow night in San Diego. And sometimes just one of those in there.
So basically, repairing when you go out there and tinker with a motorcycle, that's your form of therapy.
That is my therapy. I mean, that's exactly it. When I work the train, it's my therapy, right? I could step out of what I normally do, and I tell vets that too. I said, do something you've never thought you could do.
Yeah.
I mean, just try it, and that's what I heard a lot from your early message on was don't. You're not stuck in that. I tell people all the time, you're only stuck in the job if you want to be stuck in the job. I work with a lot of people who get unstuck, and that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah. I try to tell people that too. If you dread when you wake up in the morning and you dread going to work, then you need to start looking for a different job because you want a job that you love to do. That's like me right now. When I work for AT&T. I've been working for AT&T. Be 12 years coming up, and my first job within AT&T, I was a wire technician, so I installed internet, home phone, and TV. That job got to the point where I was like, man, I'm dreading going to work. I need to find something different. But I didn't want to lose my seniority that I already had because I already built up. So I transferred within AT&T to a machine operator role where I do everything on the outside of the house. I don't go into people's houses anymore. I don't crawl in crawl spaces or attics anymore. And I love what I do. It's Monday through Friday, which the other job, I worked every weekend except for 1 weekend a month. And I missed so much with my kids as they were growing up, like sporting events and competitions and all this other stuff. And then when I got this job, I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? Because I missed so much when they were growing up. And, now I get to see them flourish into beautiful young adults and be part of their decisions of, what they plan to do after high school. Like both my kids plan on going into the military. One wants to go in as an FBI agent. So I suggested to her that she needs to go into the Air Force in security in Air Force. And then go from there, go into the FBI that way. The other one, my youngest, wants to be a combat medic. And then she wants to become a high school history teacher.
Awesome.
At first, I didn't understand why she wanted to be trained as a combat medic. And then she explained it to me. She goes, look, Dad, if I'm in class and one of my students decided they were going to choke or have a seizure or something of that nature, I want to be able to help treat them. So, they got first aid right there on the spot. I'm like, all right, makes sense if that's what you want to do. So,
no, my wife was in the Air Force for 6 years. My son was in the Navy for 10. And my other son was in the Air Force for 4. My 2 daughters were not. And my oldest son was a combat photographer.
Nice.
Not a real pleasant thing to take pictures of. But you know what? Today he went out and got his degree when he got out, used his GI Bill, as my other son did as well. Ended up getting a job in internet design. And I always say that he has a really wonderful eye for how things look, because he's seen how bad things can look.
Yeah.
And so he's got a great eye for that. And it's really, and I'm just the opposite. I'm not artistic in any way, shape, or form. I don't think you can train me to do that. He is. Fortunately, he takes after his mom. And my other son is a biologist, totally different, areas of fields of study. But, it was because of the military that they were able to do that. Same thing. I did most of my education was courtesy of the military, but they're doing what they love. And when they get up in the morning, it's almost like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I think when you're semi-retired, it's nice, because if I don't want to start work right away, first thing in the morning, it's cool. But here's what I tell all entrepreneurs, military or otherwise: do one thing every day for your business. I don't care what it is. Do a podcast, write an article, connect with a colleague, do something, because it's really easy to sit there and say, I'll get to it tomorrow. And we just keep kicking the can down the road. So, if you can keep your weekends free, that's good too. But, I do that. I made that promise to myself every day. I'm doing something. It could be really small. It doesn't have to be not life-changing.
Yeah.
But doing something.
Yeah, that's like me in this podcast. Like, so when I got out of the Marine Corps in 2004, I got into doing veteran charity work, like, just work or volunteering for all these different nonprofits. I joined the board of a few. The last one in 2020 threw me for a setback, like major setback. I went down a rabbit hole because of some things that happened, and I sat and I pondered for the first year and a half of what I was going to do next. And I always wanted to do a podcast because I've seen a bunch of them out there, and I'm like, I'm going to do a podcast. And I bought all the stuff, computer, microphones, everything, right? And then I was like, all right, what am I going to do? So I just sat there and I pondered for another 6 months or so. And then I was like, all right. So I started looking into all these other different podcasts, what they were talking about, who they were talking to. What I noticed, nobody was focused on veteran service organizations from around the country.
Yeah.
Of course, every now and then somebody would bring in a VSO and have them on and talk about what they were doing. But they were more focused on that veteran story and not the organization themselves. So I was like, all right, we're going to focus on veteran service organizations because that's what I know. That's what I've been around. So we started, and kind of like you said, I did something every day for the podcast, whether it would be create a reel or make a post or whatever. And still to this day, I do the same thing. It could be something very minute, or it could be something big, but I always do something with the podcast every day. Now on the weekends, like Friday night, Saturday night, that's usually I try to keep for family. But Sunday through Thursday, I'm doing something with the podcast, whether I'm reaching out to the next potential guest or doing a meet and greet, 2 meet and greets on Wednesday, but always do something related to the podcast, because for one, doing a podcast is my form of therapy, because I can talk about my situation and then also learn about other veteran situations. And so this is my form of therapy. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah. You got to have that form of therapy. I agree with you. I don't care what it is, something that really just takes you to a different place you want to be.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, Dr. David Blake, is there anything that we might have missed that you wanted to talk about?
Oh my gosh. We could go on for all sorts of tell war stories and share personal tragedy and success. But here's my message to the veterans. First of all, if you got a dream, find it. Don't wait. It took me a long time to get to where I am, and I'm happy where I'm at. I'm more happy today than I've ever been. When I get up on the edge of the bed in the morning, I feel good. You get a few aches and pains, right? As you get older, you can't help with those. But it wasn't, even though I had a great job and I had a great career, towards the end of it, I'd get up on the edge of the bed in the morning, just wanted to go back in and pull the covers up. Like, I don't want to do this again, And I had a great boss. I had all the perfect things you could ask for. I was compensated crazy well. All those things. But it's not what did it for me. And let's face it, most veterans, we weren't in the military because they were paying us a large sum of money. We did it because we felt something special about it.
Yeah.
And so today I get to work with veterans. You know, if there's anybody out there that is struggling to kind of figure out what's next, how to get there, what to do, I want to start doing something like you're doing. How do I do it? You know, I'll jump on a call with you for 30 minutes and, I'll give you my 10 cents worth of advice, but it'll be from somebody who lived it and somebody that knows your journey as well. I think that's the difference. There's a lot of people out there, they'll charge you whatever to get on a phone call with you, and that's fine. Everybody's got to make money somehow. But what I think is important is you take away something that's going to make a difference for you and something you could use. I think sometimes we make the things that are important overly complicated, and it's not. Find your passion and do it. I know that sounds simple, but it is. And there's people like me that specialize in working with people that want to do it. If you want, doctor, you can obviously link into me through the my website, or there you go, Dr. Dave Blake at buildingforwardnow.com.
Yeah, he's on like a bed rash.
Man, you guys are good. I mean, I'd love to connect with veterans out there. If nothing else, tell me what you think. If you want to jump on a call, we'll schedule something. I like to do Zoom because I like to see people. It's one of the things we get to do. But to the veterans out there, and I know you hear it a lot, but hear it from a vet, thanks. You've made a difference. My family has over 40 years of combined service to this country, and it made us who we are today. And bumps, bruises, and all. But and I want to thank Willis and Joe. These things are perfect. This is what we need in our veteran community. We need places to come together. It's not that we're special, but we have our circumstances are unique. And we need people that can speak to that, and also people that have been there and done that and been successful. So thank you both for what you're doing. It's awesome stuff.
Well, thank you for that. So I think you would be a good. So Dr. Teresa Larson, she's in Colorado. She's a Marine Corps veteran. She's the founder of Movement RX, which is a company. I think you and her linked together could possibly do something together. And then Garrett Biss out of North Carolina, who's a Marine Corps veteran, major. I want to say he's a major, retired major. He's kind of in the same realm as kind of what you do in a sense. I think those two would be a good connection for you, and awesome. I can get you three connected via email, and then awesome. And then I'm going to forward your information to the other veteran podcast that I hang out with, and I'm sure Joe can do the same thing up there.
I'm going to definitely connect with Joe, because Joe said something was interesting to me. I'd like to do more podcasting, Joe. I got no idea. So, I could drive a steam train. I couldn't do a podcast. So, I'll teach you to drive a steam train. You teach me to drive a podcast, and we'll be in good shape. So I'll be reaching out to Joe too. And that's the power. I tell people all the time, hey man, it's the network. It's the network. Yep. It's the network. I know that sounds corny, but let me tell you something. It's the network. Believe it or not, it's the network.
Yeah, networking is key, especially in our veteran community. Networking is key. The more people you network with, because like right now, I just said, all right, I can hook him up with Dr. Teresa Larson. I can hook him up with Garrett Biss, because they do something similar to what he does. I'm like, so I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get him connected with these two. And then we do the Tip of the Spear Veterans Roundtable the last Wednesday of the month. That's 15 different veteran podcasts.
I know.
So I'm gonna get you connected with all of those guys and get you on their show as awesome. Well. And then I guess that's you, right, Joel? You put in private comments for
Joe took me. I already see it in there, Joe. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
No worries.
And I think I think one of the things that we're veterans will really have a leg up. Obviously, leadership. That sounds corny, but it's the truth. And if you've been there, you understand why I'm saying it. But I think we have a built-in network. I'm connected to people that I went to basic training with in 1979.
Holy crap.
All right. So, we're all friends now, but you know what? We still got great, and we just stayed connected over the years. 4 of us, people but you know what? I couldn't tell you, am I connected to anybody I went to high school with? one. And,
Yeah.
we were just buddies, and he went in the Navy, I went in the Air Force. But, 1979, it's 40 some odd years ago. And so, our network, a lot of people have to really work at it. You got one.
Yeah.
You already, we're sitting right here. Here's the simplistic form of a network. I get more work through veterans than I do anybody else, because they know that if I tell you I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. There's something a little different there that you won't always get from somebody else.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, Dr. David Blake, I want to say thank you for coming on and talking about Building Forward Now. The website is here in chat, buildingforwardnow.com. So you can go out there and check it out. Book a free consultation on there.
Sign up for my newsletter. I'd love to keep you on a positive note to start your Monday off.
There you go.
Sign up for the newsletter. If you want to connect with Dr. David Blake, you can email him at drdavidblake@buildingforwardnow.com. But yeah, definitely thank you for coming on here and hanging out with us and telling us, what you guys are doing at Building Forward Now. Mr. Adam Bird with Heroes Media Group, I want to thank him for giving me, a platform to talk on with Heroes Media Group. I want to thank Reese Across America Radio, Veterans Voice Radio, and Military United podcast streams. I want to give Mr. Joel Evans up there a shout out with MBR Radio. If you want to look up MBR Radio on all streaming platforms, you can look them up. But Dr. David Blake, thanks for coming on and hanging out with us, my friend.
Gentlemen, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Look forward to connecting again. Take care, and thanks for the good work.
Have a good night, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Mr. Joe, how cool was that, my friend?
That was cool. That was fantastic. I can't stress enough that, a lot of people, a lot of people complain, and a lot of people say that, there's nobody coming to save us. But, just hold on, because there are veterans that are coming to save us.
Oh, yeah.
There are veterans that are coming to save us. You shouldn't be in this fight alone. And if you have a battle and that you haven't reached out and you feel it is awkward, just remember they probably feel it as awkward as you do. Reach out.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of that, so we always said here on HomeFront Sitrep, you have to ask that next hard question, because you can go up to Joe and say, "Hey, how you doing?" He's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm living a dream," but knowing that he's tore up inside. So you have to ask that next hard question: how are you really doing? And then you got to be ready for that conversation. It could be a 15-minute conversation, could be a 30-minute conversation, could be a 3-hour conversation, but you need to be ready for that conversation. If you are a veteran out there and you are in crisis, 988*1. You can talk with them there. You can text them. You can go and chat with them live on the internet. But reach out. You have to reach out and talk to somebody. I'm gonna play this.
I'd have to Google it, but there's a nonprofit out there that deals with this, and I believe it's called the Battlefield Beyond the Battlefield.
Yeah,
I think that's the name of it. And one of my battle buddies, he sent that to me, and because I asked him, I'm like, do any of us vets in the unit, do we even talk anymore, or is it just me? And he's like, no, man, we don't talk. We're so messed up in the head, we don't talk. And I'm like, okay, all right. So, but I would encourage anybody and everybody to reach out to that organization.
There you go.
They're doing great stuff.
Yeah, Warriors Next Adventure does that too, and Warriors Next Adventure actually has a crisis line as well, other than 988. So I'm gonna play this commercial real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I found that commercial. I was watching TV. I can't remember what I was watching. Dude, I stopped that commercial and rewound it and played it again, and then I rewound it and played it again because the message is so on point what we talk about here on Homefront Sitrep, because I've said everything that's on that board. Everything that they write on that board, I have said, knowing that my demons are surface level, it's just like, and so I had to go search on the internet and found it, and then I created that slide or that video there. It's just, man, it's so on point. And then if you're a veteran out there and you're in the process of filing your disability through the VA, and you got questions, we at Homefront Sitrep have partnered with Dr. Monica Sanford out of Florida. She has a podcast called The Monica Sanford Show. She is a nurse practitioner, so she's got a doctorate in nursing. She's amazing. She just won uh, uh, Nurse Practitioner of the Year in Florida, so she just won that last or 2023. She's amazing. But if you have questions and you want to learn about your VA disability, this lady can help you out. You can email her at askmonica0@gmail.com. So I'm gonna play her commercial real quick. So yeah, you can reach out to Monica at askmonica0@gmail.com. She will help you and answer your questions. We had a guy that emailed the other day. He got hurt while he was in the military, and then he re-injured a different part of his knee. The VA was telling him that they weren't connected, even though his ortho doctor said, "Oh yeah, this injury is related to this." So they were trying to say, "Oh, it's not related." Well, he was asking for a second opinion, and um, she's like, "You need to make sure your orthos." So it was just they had a big long conversation. But yeah, definitely, if you have questions or you want a second opinion, email askmonica0@gmail.com. So, Mr. Joel, I want to thank you for coming on here and hanging out.
Hey, I appreciate you having me. And I was going to say something real quick. If you're a veteran and you need that DD-214, you need a copy of that DD-214. Honestly, the quickest and easiest way is just go to your VA regional office wherever you live. They will print out your DD-214 right there, right in front of you. And that's the perfect place to go to all these different VSO offices. So I just wanted to add that. That's all.
I need to get a revised DD-214 because I got two DD-214s and they don't have a lot of my stuff on there.
Right.
I need to, I guess it's the DD-215.
Right. The extended one for time. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get that. So I got to I got to go and figure out where I need to get that at. But
yeah, just go to the VA Regional Center. They'll print you out one. They'll have you sign like a bunch of paperwork. But yeah, people complicate things. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew about that. That's all.
Awesome. Well, it's about that time, Mr. Joel. I want to say good night to everybody. Thank you guys for coming on here and jumping up on the podcast and commenting and talking with Dr. David Blake and everybody. But like we always say on Homefront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got your six. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.